Hi friends, my name is Ava, and in today's video, I'm going to teach you how to photograph basketball. Before we start, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. You're probably thinking, Ava, wow, you're so jacked and
so swagalicious, and you have this like
baller energy to you. Did you play basketball? And to that I say yes. Yes, I did. Played a little D1 in college, and I grew up playing the sport. I think we should probably play the highlights. Oh! That's weird. Thought there were other clips. It's a little awkward. We'll just get started with the video, I guess. Let's start with camera settings. This section is more for beginners. If you're not a beginner, please don't skip the video. Please give me a chance. Skip to right here, and we'll get it all sorted out. I'm a self-taught photographer, so I didn't learn in the traditional way. Therefore, my explanation of things might not align with what a photography teacher might say. I just want to share how these things make sense in my brain. Hopefully they make sense for you too. As a photographer, our main goal is to get light into our camera sensor. For the most part, like it's not really the main goal, but just like go with it. Light, go in camera sensor, make nice image. So our goal is to get light, but you're gonna find out that there's some issues with that. Getting light is not as easy as it seems to be. Let there be light. But the light does not want to be lit. Okay, camera settings. The three main settings you need to know are shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. Starting with aperture. The first setting you want to adjust when taking pictures is aperture. Aperture is determined by what lens you have. It's not a universal setting. This is very important. Each lens is not going to have the same range of aperture. I was so confused when I first started because they were telling me to set my aperture to like f1.4 and my camera only said f4, and I was so angry and confused, and it's because that lens literally was not built for that. Okay, so what is aperture and what does it do? Aperture essentially controls how in focus something is in your picture, as well as how blurry the background is. A low aperture equals a blurrier background. A high aperture equals a more in focus background. A low aperture equals a brighter photo. A high aperture equals a darker photo. And so after hearing that, you might think, so why aren't we just using low aperture lenses? And if you were thinking that, you are a genius. And if you weren't thinking that, that's totally fine, and that's totally cool too. You'll get there. Low aperture lenses are usually expensive. Yeah, womp womp, but they are so worth it. I'm going to talk about this more when we get to gear. The next setting you want to adjust is your shutter speed. Shutter speed controls how sharp or how blurry your photo is. Ideally, you want a high shutter speed when you're shooting sports photography because you really want to freeze the action. I like to shoot at 1/1000 or higher. I think 1/600 is fine too, but not for me. A high shutter speed equals a sharp image. A low shutter speed equals a blurry image. A high shutter speed equals a darker photo. A low shutter speed equals a brighter photo. So now you know that when we're shooting with a higher shutter speed, it makes a darker photo. And you see this is an issue because, say it with me, because we need more light. Yes. We said that so in sync. You're killing it. You are on it today. So how do we fix it? Great question. We have to try and balance this with our other settings because they all work together. All three of them, they have a triangle. I don't know how that works, but it's a thing that people talk about. I don't know. Anyways, the last setting you want to adjust is your ISO. ISO is, it's just like how bright or how dark your photo is. It also affects how grainy or how not grainy your photo is. The lower the ISO, the darker the image. The higher the ISO, the brighter the image. The lower the ISO, the less grain your image will have. The higher the ISO, the more grain your image will have. If you're really struggling to get more light into your photo, bump up your ISO. Do not lower your shutter speed. A grainy image can be semi-fixed in post, but a blurry photo cannot. This is not like a one size fits all. Like I could tell you which settings I use for specific photos, but that doesn't mean that's gonna work for you because lighting situations are always changing. And this is still a struggle for me of like finding the balance between what I wanna do. And it's kind of just up to you. It's your choice of what you want your image to look like. Okay, let's recap again. A low aperture will give you a blurrier background and a brighter image. A higher aperture will give you a more in focus photo and a darker photo. A low shutter speed equals a brighter photo and a blurrier image. A high shutter speed equals a darker photo, but a sharper image. A low ISO will give you a darker image, but it won't have as much grain. A higher ISO will give you a brighter image, which we love, we want light, but it will be grainier. Let's talk about shooting in RAW. I have not done too much research into this. You have the choice to shoot between RAW or JPEG. Basically, a RAW file has a lot more information in it that you can work with when you're editing. JPEG is a smaller file, it's more compressed, therefore lowering the quality a little bit. RAW files cannot be opened on their own. You're going to need an editing software. So if you do not have access to an editing software like Lightroom, I don't recommend shooting in RAW. RAW files are also bigger and they take up more space. So if you don't have a great SD card or a lot of storage on your computer or wherever you're editing, that's another reason why you wouldn't want to shoot in RAW. It should be your goal to shoot in RAW, so Whatever you gotta do to figure that out, I recommend doing it. So if you have a decent SD card and a space to edit, shoot in RAW. White balance! I never talk about this in my videos. White balance just controls the colors. White balance is very important for basketball photography because usually the gyms are ugly. Yeah, they have weird colors. White balance is a setting on all cameras. It's not like aperture. And most cameras, I think, give you the option to choose a setting for them. So there's like auto, cloudy, daylight, that type of thing. Shooting in auto is not always terrible. However, sometimes the camera gets confused. It makes it way harder when editing because the photos aren't going to have a consistent look. Colors are going to be different each time, and you're going to have to keep on adjusting it. And that's annoying, right? So it's better to just pick a setting and have all of your pictures be in that setting so you can like copy and paste your edits to all the other ones. My camera has a setting where I can just like aim it at a wall, at a white wall, and it will automatically capture the white balance. So I usually do that. But when I was first starting, the menu was really helpful. White balance can be fixed in post, but it's better to set it off right in the beginning because it makes it easier for you. And don't you want it to be easier for you? You should. And if you don't, that's an issue, right? Like, let's dive into that. That's it for white balance. Now we're going to talk about positioning. My favorite place to stand is on the baseline on the right side. The majority of the game I'm shooting from this right spot. Sometimes I will move to the left if I notice more action going on over here. Something super important is you should always be sitting or kneeling. You want to be as close to the ground as possible because that makes the athletes look so much better. Like it's like they're big and they're powerful because you know like you're down here and they're like up here, and that's what you want for sports photography, especially basketball, because you want them to look big and powerful. Hey guys, it's me, editing Ava, except for I'm now filming Ava because other filming Ava, yeah, she wasn't doing a very good job. But look, I even tried to put on the sweater to like match a little bit. Here's some tips for before the game. Number 1 is learn the game. Make sure you understand the rules of basketball. I played basketball, so I didn't have to learn the rules. But for other sports that I didn't understand, what was helpful for me is I talked to the parent and they were like giving me tips on where to stand. Practice during warm-ups. During warm-ups, you can play around with your settings, finding the right balance between aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. Warm-ups are also great for scouting the players and kind of getting a feel for how they play or how they interact with others. Here's a photo I took during warm-ups, and here's a photo I took during the game. Wow! As you can see, they are very much related to each other. Try and get some shots of the players interacting with each other. This is usually when people are smiley and happy. And I love smiles, and I think those are great photos. There's 4 quarters in basketball, sometimes 2, men's college basketball. I don't know why they do that. Anyways, we're gonna pretend that it's 4s. If you're new to sports photography, I recommend taking the first 2 quarters to kind of get used to your gear. I would use the 85 the first quarter and then the 135 the second quarter. And based off of which look I like better, I'll stick with the same lens for the last 2 quarters. For me, the first 2 quarters I lock in and get the shots I need to get, like pictures of everybody on the team, some action shots. I'm usually staying in the same spot on the baseline and not getting too creative with it. After I get those shots, I feel a lot more comfortable getting creative because like when you're getting creative, there's a chance you're gonna miss like a really good moment. So I'd rather have those moments done first. Sometimes I'll switch lenses during the quarters. I don't know. It's kind of like based off of my vibe. Here are some in-game shooting tips. Use burst mode or continuous shooting mode. I don't know what it's called. Just do something where you can like and take a bunch of pictures because sometimes it's fun to get the sequence of the play, and also being able to take a lot of pictures at once helps you not miss the moment. Because like you took hella, there has to be one good one, you know? It's better to overshoot than to undershoot. Sometimes after a big play, people will look at their camera to see if they got the shot. Don't do this! Wait until the reaction of the play is over, because odds are, if there was a really good play, they're gonna celebrate. And the celebration pictures are just as important as the clean action photos. For example, here's a picture. I missed the dunk and I was so pissed off. However, I got this picture and I really like it, and it was kind of like a happy accident. Watch the player's eyes. This will help with anticipating where the ball's gonna go next. Anticipate moments. Sometimes it's better to stay still and anticipate a moment versus chasing and trying to create one. Sometimes if I see a play happen that I really want a picture of, I'll like hold my camera in the spot where I think they'll do it again and just wait for the action. For example, we talked about this picture earlier. I really wanted a breakaway dunk, and so I positioned myself not in the normal spot because I literally was only trying to get this picture. Doing this was a risk because I was not able to get the other angles, but I was so dedicated to getting this one specific shot, and I got it. I got really lucky. Sometimes this is not the case, and you'll just be waiting and waiting, and then nothing happens, and it's really sad. And then you're like, stupid, because you missed the moment, and you missed another dunk on the other side of the court. Work around the refs. They move in patterns too, just like how the players play. Try and get pictures of free throws. Free throws, I think, are probably the most accessible picture to get because there's not really anything going on, so you don't need a high shutter speed. For these pictures, I'll go underneath the basket, but sometimes I'm like at an angle because I don't really want to distract the person by like being like right underneath the basket, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Like if I do choose to go like directly in the middle, I'll just do it for one of the free throws and not for both of them. Also, if it's like a really intense moment and the free throws really matter, I might not do that. Take pictures during the starting lineup where they are doing the handshakes. Most of the time people aren't going to pay attention to you and they don't care that you're on the court. I don't know. For that one, it's just like really important to have confidence. Keep it simple. Avoid busy backgrounds and empty stands. That's something I wasn't really thinking about when I was first starting until someone pointed it out. Having a lot going on in the background is very distracting, and you really want to keep the focus on your subject. Distractions can be like another player behind them, the scoreboard. Also, like some angles of the gym are just ugly, so maybe try and not shoot those. Here's an example of a really ugly background that could have been prevented. This is from a volleyball game that I did recently. I just want to show you this because I still make mistakes and I've been doing this for 5 years. Try shooting from different angles. Up high, down low. It's always interesting to shoot from higher up in the stands. It's also cool to be like in with the crowd. Balance and framing. Try and keep your subject centered or follow the rule of thirds, which is like there's like three things here and you want to keep them on the lines and stuff. Always give space for the athletes to move through the frame. This is because you really don't want to chop off limbs. Like with cropping, you want their full body in it, and it's really frustrating when you almost get that shot, but it's just a little chopped. I shoot vertically for most of my pictures for basketball because basketball players kind of move more like this versus like this. We're giving them room to jump and like, you know, have fun and I don't know. Mix up your shots. Take some wide shots, close-ups. Wide shots are a really cool way to switch up what's going on because sometimes it gets repetitive. Wide shots are also really good for setting the scene and giving context to the space. It's also a good way to show the crowd. With the tight shots, focus on faces and details, like maybe like their hair if they have a cute hairstyle, or their shoes, or even the sweat. I don't think I've gotten any good pictures of that, but I've seen them before. So do as I say, not as I do. I believe you can do it. Try shooting a frame within a frame. This is when you use objects to frame your subject. Here are some examples of this. I think this is such a creative way to change up your photography. In my earlier days, I was looking for ways to get more creative with my work, and I decided to shoot with like a prism lens or like a lens filter. I only really use them for one game. Take standalone or static shots. These are players walking, the back of the players like with their jersey. The athletes love jersey pictures. Also, a lot of high schoolers don't like showing their face, so they really love the jersey pictures. They're not the most creative, however, people really like them. And then when they like them, they'll post them, and then they'll tag you, and then you'll blow up and be famous, and it will all be because of me. So you're welcome. Just kidding, just kidding. But yeah, focus on getting the quiet moments because those also tell a story. Storytelling and emotions. Focus on the reactions, the celebrations, when people are frustrated, all of it. I just love searching for facial expressions, and I love like those super intense moments too. Get candid shots. Get pictures during the huddles. This is a good one for the coaches too. Make sure you get pictures of the bench players. It's really important, at least for me, to make everybody on the team feel seen and included. I already said this, but take pictures of the coaches, the team managers, because they're super important, the trainers, the refs. Sometimes I take pictures of the refs just because it's kind of funny. It will benefit you to get pictures of everything that's going on because like I said, they're telling a story, and also the more people you're reaching, the better it is for your photography business and your exposure. Set the scene. These are usually wide shots of the gym, the crowd, the band, halftime performances, anything to really show the atmosphere. Injury moments. This one is hit or miss, and it's kind of just up to you to use your judgment. Sometimes I see a lot of TikToks of like people posting pictures from like when they got their injury as like their inspiration and their journey. So like you could like be a part of that. Like, I don't know, like for me personally, if I got injured, I think I'd probably want a picture of it, but that's because it's me and I'm a little bit attention seeking. But sometimes it's also like just a cramp and it's a funny moment. Here's an example. I just want to mention it because sometimes it is good to get those pictures and just use your judgment because it's just really important to stay respectful. I keep my editing very basic and very clean and bright. That's how I stand out from others. I also deliver the galleries very quickly. Not as much anymore. I still try my best sometimes, but the quicker you can get them out, the better. Pay attention to who supports your work. If players tag you and thank you, take more pictures of them. Reward them for supporting you. Be patient with new teams. This happened a couple times. I would go and take pictures for a new team and post the pictures, and they were good pictures. And then nobody said anything. Nobody followed me. Nobody really cared. Nobody really downloaded the pictures. And it made me feel really upset. I was genuinely so frustrated. And then I went the second time. And for some reason, the second time I'd go is like when people would actually notice and start following me and supporting me. So like, you just gotta be patient. They'll come around. It just might take a little bit longer. Sports photography is so much luck. And there's so many things out of your control. So don't get discouraged if your pictures aren't coming out the way you want them to, or if somebody got a better shot than you at a game. That one really gets to me. I struggle so much because I always want to be the best, but try not to feel like mean feelings towards them if they got a better picture than you. Like honestly, like reach out to them and tell them like, wow, that's amazing. I'm so jealous you got that picture. Because supporting other photographers is also very important. If you see them at a game, try and take a picture of them. Okay, I gotta get back to editing, but it was great talking with you. And good luck. I really hate saying this, and I hope it does not discourage you, but gear does matter when you're shooting basketball photography. When I first started, didn't have the right gear. Pictures looked terrible. And my first thought was, why am I so stupid? Stupid. But in reality, it wasn't my fault. It was the gear's fault. It was the camera. As soon as I got the right camera and the right lens, my photography took off. The camera I first started off with was the Sony a7 III. The Sony a7 III is an amazing camera. It's great for basketball pictures. This camera is better with low light situations, and like I was saying earlier, gym lighting, terrible. It is totally worth the money. I have now upgraded to the Sony a7 IV, and I love it, and I totally recommend it. My favorite lenses for basketball are number 1, the 85mm. This lens is like the perfect focal length. Number 2 is probably my 135mm f1.8. I just love this because it has a low aperture, so I like to use that one with the 85mm. I don't think I would shoot an entire basketball game with just the 135mm just because it's so zoomed in. Those are my top 2 lenses. I've used the 35mm before. It's not my favorite, but it's cool. It gives a different look to it. It switches things up. I've also used the 70-200 f2.8. That one I will use for important games just to make sure I'm not missing anything, because I can zoom out and I can zoom in, I get both sides of the court, you know. So when the stakes are a little bit higher, I will use the 70-200 just because it's more important to capture the moment and not necessarily like the aesthetics of things. I recommend looking into renting gear. I did that once because I broke my lens and it was really bad. Oh, camera's gonna die. BRB. Okay, I'm back. What are we talking about? Oh yeah, gear. Yikes. So yeah, it does matter. It's unfortunate. Just know that low aperture lenses are going to be your best friend when it comes to photographing basketball. Now we're going to talk about editing. Anyways, it's time to wrap up this video. If you have any questions, let me know down below. I hope this was helpful to you, and if it wasn't, maybe just stick around for next time. Maybe one day I'll make a video that's helpful. Anyways, you got this, believe in yourself, and I will see you in the next one.